Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis and this is Bad Accent Video Reviews. Today we're gonna talk about Tokyo Cowboy, a film by Marc Marriott, which is his feature debut. It's an interesting movie because more than 50 years after Toshiro Mifune played in a western along Charles Bronson and Alain Delon, we have a new movie with a Japanese coming to cowboy land with Arata Iura playing the part this time, although in completely different terms. To describe these terms and to talk about the script of the movie, we have businessman Hideki, who tries to balance his many priorities, from work-related practices to plans to settle down with his long-time girlfriend Keiko, whom he also works for, although the relationship is kept in secret, at least in their minds, since it seems that other colleagues know what's going on between them. For his latest project, he proposes to his bosses in a company that produces handmade chocolate and also deals with other food stuff, let's say, also abroad. And he proposes a trip to a cattle ranch in Montana to try and turn the locale into a business asset by introducing the famous Wagyu beef to the US. Upon approval, he flies there with Wada, an expert in the particular type of cattle raising, to assist him on to assist him with the work, and essentially to introduce him to the mentality of particular areas, since Wada is quite familiar with them. However, things do not go well for him from the beginning, since he loses his luggage, then his partner gets utterly drunk and into an accident and hospitalized, essentially leaving Hideki to fend for himself in Big Sky country. And the fact that he doesn't even speak the language does not help at all. Okay, he speaks a little, but not enough to communicate on a professional level, let's say. So the fact that all his speeches to the locals backfire, and eventually he starts feeling completely lost, also because his girlfriend does not seem to reply to his messages, makes his situation even worse. Eventually, though, he befriends one of the farmland workers named Javier, who slowly helps him adjust to this foreign setting, and through this acquaintance, he begins to reflect on not just his overseas stay, but also himself. And gradually, he starts to adapt and even manages to promote his interests, although in a completely different way than what he had on mind from the beginning. Okay, so evidently the story is somewhat cliched, as in the concept of the foreigner who comes to a new country and changes as he also changes those around him. But there are a number of subtle comments here that are quite interesting and essentially elevate the narrative much above a typical cliched movie, let's say. The first comment refers to white-collar mentality in Japan, particularly regarding drinking, where the people working in companies are essentially obliged to take out customers, drinking with them, getting drunk, and being able to handle the drink in order to go to work early the next day in a very, I guess, something that sounds very Japanese. But in the case of our protagonist, okay, he is one of the few that cannot drink at all, and the fact is that his girlfriend Keiko is the one who usually finishes his drinks, in a comment that actually takes place a number of times throughout the movie, and also is kind of a joke on this concept that the more you drink, the more man you are, which is funny the way it is presented, and it's actually quite funny in general. The fact that the person that helps him the most in the beginning is Javier, of Latino descent, maybe I think he's Mexican if I'm not making a mistake, can also be perceived as a comment essentially against racism. Although, okay, this is a bit romanticized and somewhat cliche, I have to say, but it works for the movie in general. Also, there is a focus on the issues cattle raisers face in the US nowadays, which are well presented, while some alternatives are also offered, as in the case of alternative products in order to cultivate the land in different ways. And okay, the result is somewhat romanticized, but again, in the economy of the story, I say it works. Okay, there is also a more social or even philosophical, one can say, comment about how the particular type of work changes polished Hideki, who it also moves in the aforementioned direction, but is also the main source of comedy, drama, and even romance in the movie, while also making a comment on how people from completely different backgrounds can find common ground as soon as they realize that they are not so different and are willing to put some water in the drink and see each other in a more comfortable way, let's say. In general, the approach here is one of pleasantness and perhaps a bit of promotion of the particular way of life, with the cinematography by Oscar Ignacio Jimenez adding a lot to this aspect, particularly by highlighting the beauties of the area through a number of impressive long shots that are bound to remain in the mind of any viewer. The open fields are definitely beautiful to watch, and Jimenez manages to highlight them in the best fashion. At the same time, there is not much drama or action taking place, and the pace remains leisurely, let's say, as dictated by Yasuno's editing, while the whole narrative can be described as calm and easy to watch. Not much tension here. Uh, Again, pleasant and easy to watch. The acting also follows the same approach. Arata Iura as Hideki is the definite protagonist, and he's quite good in how out of his place he feels in the beginning in Cowboy Land, and the way he adapts in the end, and the fact that even in that regard, the movie remains realistic in the way that he does not become a full cowboy. He is always a bit awkward as a Japanese company man, which is one of the best traits of the movie, I have to say, the approach to this aspect. Robin Weigert as Peg, the former owner of the farm that Hideki's company has bought, is also pleasant to watch with her rough but also quite also kind and occasionally funny ways. Goya Robles as Javier highlights the mentality of the poor man that tries to make the best with his very difficult life and is very convincing in the part. While Ayako Fujitani as Keiko Hideki's girlfriend is an appealing presence as always and plays the company woman who also finds herself being the boss and girlfriend of the same man quite nicely, very convincingly in an overall very competent performance. Jun Kunimura, as Wada, is always a pleasure to watch. We see him all over the place the last decade, I have to say, but he's as good as always and quite convincing as the Japanese cowboy. I guess he is the one essentially in the beginning before Hideki becomes the one. In general, yeah, the acting and casting work quite well for the film, and it's one of its best assets also. Okay, overall, Tokyo Cowboy is not a masterpiece, but it's funny, makes some interesting comments, and in general is quite pleasant to watch, which I feel is its best value that elevates it much above some issues with cliché, the maybe promotional elements, which in the end are getting lost in the overall pleasure the movie meets, let's say. Okay, that was it for today also. If you like these reviews, please like and subscribe, and hope to see you soon again. Have a nice day. Bye.